Hi, this is Jace Gordon here for Book Review. Today's book I'm reviewing today, Dad's Nuke by Marc Laidlaw. And there's the offer on the back. This is published by Donald I. Fine in 1986. I've always been curious about this offer. Most people who probably never heard of this name, Marc Laidlaw, he's actually the guy that wrote the screenplay for the first-person shooter game Half-Life and the sequel Half-Life 2. And I always been curious about this author's work. His books are quite difficult to come by. You have to order them essentially to find them. So I decided to start off with his first novel, Dad's Nuke, as a friend of mine has told me that apparently the music video River Below is heavily inspired by this novel. So when I finally got my hands on this copy and read it, I really liked it. It's very different. It's dark. There's some dark humor in it, and there's a lot of topics that the author touches on in the story. But overall, I really enjoyed this book, and it was. As I was reading this, I was just visualizing the whole story in my mind, what this world looks like, and kind of thought this would be kind of cool to turn into a graphic novel and stuff. I was even thinking if this was to be made into a film, who would direct and who would star in it. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. I will say it's not for everyone. It's very different, so not everyone's gonna like it. But if you like alternate history with dark satires, then maybe you'll like this. But overall, I enjoy this, and I definitely look forward to checking out more books by this author, reviewing them on the channel. Alright, onto the book review. Plot. Set in the post-nuclear Holocaust age, in 1998, the Johnson family lives in the suburbs of Arch Street on Collinstone Hill. The father, Bill Johnson, is jealous of his neighbor, Jock Smith, with the latest weapon of defense, a launcher in his backyard. His wife, Connie, and children go to see the launcher. When Jock Smith and his wife, Doris, come out and show off the ground-to-air missile launcher, Johnson is both impressed and annoyed with Jock. Jock gives a little speech before demonstrating his ground-to-air missile launcher. Johnson takes his family back into his backyard and gets one of his sons to activate the shielding for his house, while Jock's son Arnold activates his house shielding. Jock fires the missile into the air and it explodes, sending debris down onto Johnson's house as he wishes to up his neighbor. PJ, the oldest son in the Johnson family, has grown disillusioned with the family's image and is fed up with having to write apology letters for his father's mistakes, with the latest being blamed for damaging the golf course, which Jock suspects Johnson of sabotaging his ground-to-air missile launcher. PJ is then called down by his parents, who tell him that the doctor has selected their oldest son to be gay, as doctors decide on the person's sexuality. Angered by this, PJ's had enough and plans to run away from home. His youngest brother, Virgil, catches him packing his things. After having a talk, Virgil agrees not to tell his parents about PJ's plans to escape outside of the wall. With the aid of his only friend, Kurt, PJ sneaks past the patrols and enters no man's land. He knows he might get shot, but doesn't care, as he has no plans of returning home, as even death would be escape from this world he hates. Nancy, the daughter who has a crush on Arnold despite hostility from Nancy's father, he too has grown disillusioned with his world and plans to rebel against it by making himself look ugly, then tells Nancy his plans to build a bomb. Meanwhile, Johnson works for a fuel company that wishes to switch over from gas to nuclear power. His boss, Marv, offers Johnson, the first person on the block, to power his house with nuclear power. At first, Johnson is against the idea, but realizes he'll be gaining a lead against Jock Smith and accepts the deal. Meanwhile, PJ has traveled through the wastelands and discovers a church. He enters inside for shelter, but is discovered by members of the Christian army and is recruited to become their newest soldier against their enemies. PJ quickly rises up in the ranks of the church and is taught how to become a soldier through the INRI Mach 2 computer. When Johnson and the rest of his family is told about PJ's escape, this causes problems within the family. Johnson blames himself, as it's causing the family to split apart. Later on, Johnson has the nuclear reactor installed into his garage. However, after discovering the true motives of what the church is plotting, PJ and a few others help him escape and try to rescue his family. But at the same time, Johnson begins questioning his life and begins to reject both his company and Doctor from controlling him and his family. He feels they're the ones to blame for destroying his family. However, Jock wants to settle the score with Johnson once for all by turning his nuclear reactor into a bomb. Johnson will sacrifice himself to save his family. He may not be the best father, but loves his children as he'll rather them be freed than controlled like slaves. Dad's Nuke is a strange yet dark satire take of the Cold War mixed with a stubborn lifestyle, with neighbors trying to outdo the other by owning a bigger weapon than what the other neighbors got, regardless how dangerous it is. I really like the setting and world of Dad's Nuke with a lot of interesting locations, places, and like the whole Cold War era mixed with the alternate 90s dark future setting. There was a large cast of characters to follow within the story. Some I liked, others I didn't, but Mark creates an interesting cast of characters along with rich detail within the story. The pacing was good, no scenes dragged on too long. I liked how he would do social commentary within the story on corporations, questioning our actions and views over what others think, free will, along with what it means to be a family. Overall, I highly recommend Dad's Nuke. While it may not be for everyone, but if you want something different and enjoy dark satires, then you might like Dad's Nuke. It's a real blast to read. And that's our review today. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, and I had a really good time reading this book for the first time reading something completely different. I really enjoyed this book. As I said, I'll be definitely checking out more books by Marc Laidlaw, and I've already got several other books of his on my wish list, so I'm gonna have to order those. But when, of course, when I have room on my shelves, of course, because that's gonna have to wait for a while. But overall, I just really enjoyed the whole setting of Dad's Nuke. It's got this interesting mixture of like the Cold War. You got kind of like the 1950s and even 60s suburban lifestyle mixed with like I know this book was published in the 80s, but I even get the like the 90s suburban lifestyle as well mixed with this. And there was even some cyberpunk elements into the story too. Like there's characters can access like kind of like computers, and they can like put on kind of like these like they put on like these gloves that kind of allows them to move around like in the computer world, and they put like a visor over their heads, like a helmet of some kind, and they're hooked up to the computer, which was really interesting. And there's a lot of social commentary on within the story. I noticed like the author like touches on subjects like questioning like big corporations is like they're the ones that kind of like controlling our lives and manipulating us to do things. And if we don't fit the perfect image, they'll gladly like remove us and then just replace us with someone else that fits that image. So it touches upon that. And then free will was another subject I noticed that the story touches upon, with characters questioning their actions, them becoming disillusioned with the world they don't like. And even in the story, like in this world, apparently doctors decide what your sexuality will be, which goes against your will, and they don't care if it goes against your will or not. It's they decide how you are, how you act, how you behave, and if you don't behave properly, they'll just give you a dosage of like drugs to make you act the way that they want you to. So that was another subject that it touched upon. And when it focuses on PJ, he begins to question his sexuality. Like there's parts where in the story like he's questioning, am I really gay or am I not? Like that's something that he kind of questioned and wondered if the doctor was right or wrong. So that's another part in the story that it touches upon. The father character, Bill Johnson, he is real. At the beginning of the story, he's really unlikable. It's like he's basically this self-centered asshole that basically just wants to be like the perfect father on the block. He wants to have the best weapon out of all the neighbors, including his rival Jock Smith, and he doesn't care what he has to do. But then towards the middle and end of the book, he begins to question his actions as he begins to value his family more than what his company wants, and he becomes disillusioned with the whole like, what's the point of owning like a bigger weapon? It doesn't mean anything. It's like family is more important than that. So that's another subject that the story touches upon, and I really liked it. And the father figure, and the Johnson character, he does kind of redeem himself at the end of the story, and I just overall I really enjoyed it. I really like it's the world it was interesting when we see this kind of like suburban lifestyle where it's like a mixture of like kind of like stuff from the past mixed with like with technology in the mix, so old and new and stuff. And while we don't get to see much of the other locations, like it does show some scenery with PJ exploring like the no man's land, and when he finds the church, and there's some other parts the story goes. The father tries to take his family on a virtual trip, which doesn't end well. Um, it does show some scenes of of the father going to work. But we don't get to see much more. I kind of wish there were some more scenery shots of seeing more of what this world was like. Another thing this book doesn't explain, it doesn't explain how the world came to be. So I'm guessing this is basically was a nuclear war with Russia. I'm guessing it doesn't say. So there's no backstory on that. So you're kind of left to imagine in your mind what caused this whole post-nuclear Holocaust age to happen. The finale was really good too. I felt it was really good with the father going to sacrifice himself to save his family, with Jock Smith like kind of just losing it and decides he's going to turn Johnson's nuclear reactor into a nuclear bomb. So it was overall was a good book, and I can see where the where my friend was explaining to me the River Below was the inspiration for the music video, and I do agree with him. Like, yes, the music video River Below from Billy Talent has a character building like a nuclear bomb, not in his garage, in his basement of his house, and I can see where he got the inspiration from this book, as apparently the lead singer of Billy Talent, one of Dad's Nuke's one of his favorite books and stuff. So I'm definitely curious what other books Marc Laidlaw has written. I definitely, as I said, I got like several on my wish list. I definitely will look forward to reading those on the channel and stuff. Yeah, so if you haven't heard of this book, I highly recommend it. The author has re well republished a lot of his works, but they're kind of on Kindle and stuff and ebooks. So me, I like to have a physical copy, so I'm gonna have to order some of these other books, and I would love to get some other editions of Dad's Nuke too. All right, that's it for the video today. Hope you enjoyed it. And for my next book, I'll begin. My next book I'll be reading Mind Hopper by James B. Johnson, another kind of like a science fiction cyberpunk story. However, what I'll be starting next actually is this, The Killer. I'm going to get some more graphic novel reviews up on the channel. I'm going to start with this one, and this is thick, and there's a lot of stories to cover, so I'm going to have to see how I'm going to review this. But when I go to read it, I'll figure out I'm going to review it on the channel. All right. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and please don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group with the same name, a place to post and review fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.